Hey, how's it going? Happy Thanksgiving. So I just want to get a video out. I know everyone's going to be enjoying their time off, at least here in the US. So I had a few thoughts on it. I found this video. I was just kind of scrolling around this morning. I couldn't sleep. I've been up since like 3 a.m. or something like that. Just couldn't sleep. So typically I know what that means. Start scrolling the news, see what's out there. So I found this. I thought it was fitting, given that it's Thanksgiving. So let me bring this over here and we'll take a look. All right, so this is Sarah Palin. This is an old one. This is not recent, thankfully. I think it was like 10 or 15 years ago this happened. So I guess she went out there, and I don't know what's going on politically here, but she's going to pardon a turkey like Joe did, right? He pardoned those two turkeys, thankfully, for those two. So I think she's going to pardon a turkey here. So let's take a look at it.
Press event started well.
Here we go.
Sorta.
I will read the following foul pardon. I, Sarah Palin.
There are all the turkeys there, enslaved. Going to get murdered soon. So we'll take a look.
Governor of Alaska, and friend to all creatures, great and small, do hereby deem this foul creature worthy of a pardon for the following reasons. Whereas Benjamin Franklin once advocated the turkey as our national bird. Did you know that?
Yep.
And since our national bird is the eagle, actually is protected, it follows that at least...
Interesting, isn't it? The eagle's protected, but the turkey is not. Thankfully, the eagle is not tasty. If it was tasty and easy to catch, it would be in trouble.
One runner-up bird should also be protected. Whereas the word turkey can now be considered a term of endearment in casual conversation, and as it is not at all clear that this turkey even had a trial, let alone a fair trial by a jury.
That's true. These turkeys, number one, you shouldn't have capital punishment. Depending on the crime, putting someone in jail for the rest of their life is punishment enough. That's a long time to lose your freedom. And in horrible conditions too. So she made a valid point. These turkeys here, number one, there's no capital punishment. You can't kill people for the crimes they committed. Just let them sit there if they need to. But these turkeys haven't had a trial. They're just going to be murdered. And their bodies are going to be cut into pieces and they're going to be eaten. Right? They're going to be ravaged. So they'll be murdered. They're innocent. They're in the prime of their life. They've been fattened up by us while they're enslaved. And they're going to be killed horribly, as you'll see in a minute. They're going to be dismembered, and then they're going to be cooked, boiled in oil, however you cook them, and then they're going to be eaten. And then they're going to have their bones, thrown all over the place.
Of his or her peers. And finally, whereas Alaska doesn't even have the death penalty.
I wonder what they're saying, too. You hear those turkeys in the background making all those noises? I wonder what they're saying. It would be very interesting to hear what they're saying and if they understand what's going to happen. They probably do. I don't know if they can smell the blood or the fear, but I'm sure they know what's going on.
An amnesty is also considered a form of pardon. An amnesty is sometimes invoked to achieve social peace and harmony. And isn't this the time of year that we should be grateful for and working towards social peace and harmony?
Yes.
I think you see my point. Therefore, I, Sarah Palin, Governor of Alaska, anticipating and hoping that in the spirit of Thanksgiving, Alaskans everywhere will find adequate nourishment elsewhere. And without this particular turkey,
You know where they should find that nourishment? In fruits and vegetables. Nuts, seeds, legumes, greens, things like that. That's where you should find it. That's where the animals find it. Some of them. So that's what we're supposed to be eating, right? You want to go back to the Garden of Eden example. You eat what comes out of the earth. That's it. That's what God provided. Because you can't murder. So there's no way you can eat meat without murdering something. So that's off the table. So sentient beings, you can't eat them.
Do hereby grant Thanksgiving a full amnesty and pardon, and it is so ordered, and we will pick one of the big toms to pardon, okay?
Uh-oh. They're going to pardon one. Where's the lucky one?
I don't know.
Oh, there it is.
Oh. Yes, this is our pardon turkey.
Now, I wonder if when they pardon them, they're pardoned for life, or if they're just pardoned and they get put back in the pool until next year to see if they'll get killed. I don't know how that works.
Watch your feet, buddy.
Oh my goodness. Wait.
Can you imagine if you were that turkey? Right? You're a turkey. You're in that vessel. You're a turkey. You have no idea what these people are. To a turkey, we're aliens, right? To them. If you're a turkey, you have to kind of put yourself in that body, looking out of those eyes. You're looking at Sarah Palin. She's looking down at you, and she's speaking in some language you don't understand. You got this guy holding you. He's looking at you. Like, just imagine being this turkey. This is the lucky one, right? This turkey's being pardoned. But essentially, he's being groped by two aliens that thankfully aren't going to eat him today. From the turkey's perspective, I don't know if he understands what's going on, but what an odd experience to have. Imagine being that turkey. Just looking up and you got Sarah Palin there talking to you, and there's a news camera, and you're stuck in this prison, and all these other prisoners, and they're all going to die. They're all dead by now.
It's a ton. All right, 30 pounds. Okay, good job.
But while one filthy bird found freedom, courtesy of the governor, his fellow turkeys were not so lucky. Now, we've made every effort to sanitize the video of what happens next, but you still might want to consider getting the kids out of the room right now, and anyone who's a little squeamish about where Thanksgiving dinner...
Maybe they wouldn't be so filthy if you didn't have them crammed into those cages where they can't move around. Because I've seen turkeys in the wild. They don't look that filthy. They look normal. They look like wild turkeys. Those are filthy because you have them crammed in cages, probably getting covered with their own excrement.
Comes from. Are they gone? Okay, here's what happened next. As
This
Governor
part is
Palin stepped
insane.
outside of the
Don't you see
hatchery to
this?
give a postpartum interview, she neglected to notice what was happening directly behind her.
I'm glad she
In the rear
didn't
view of
notice.
The television cameras. We've
Thanks,
blurred out
Sarah.
the goriest parts, but here's her interview from start to finish.
Yes, please show it.
I don't think it's changed me at all. I have the same values and convictions.
All right, you see this? So watch the former live turkey. This guy, they got this contraption there. It's like a little funnel. So imagine if this was you, right? They're going to take you. They're going to turn you upside down, right? So your arms are pointed this way. They're going to cram you into this device. It's going to cone, right? So your whole body will cram in there as far as you can until you're completely locked in and you can't move. And the only thing that's going to happen is your little head's going to poke out of the bottom of the cone. So just imagine you're upside down, your arms are this way, your legs are that way. You get crammed into this device until only your head is hanging out, just your little head. And then you got this fine gentleman over here. He's going to come over. Who knows what he's thinking? He doesn't care. He's just going to kill you. You're just a stupid turkey or a stupid human, however you want to look at it. And then he's going to take a knife and he's going to slit your throat. And he's going to let you bleed out. So you're in this cone. You're looking down at the ground. Someone cuts your throat and you're just coughing up blood everywhere. And you're going to watch your blood just pour out of your body as your body just dies and withers away. And you're trying to shake around in the cone, but you can't because you're crammed in it because it gets progressively thinner, right? So when they dunk you in there, your shoulders are basically crushed to where you can't move and you can just wiggle around. All you can do is your little feet, maybe your little feet will move, but your whole body's just going to be crammed in there. So that's what we're going to see here. I won't comment on her. I'm not sure how she was as a governor.
And positions and policies. Just a greater appreciation, I think, for what other candidates go through. It's pretty brutal. The time.
Appreciation for what others go through. I know she said candidates, but appreciation for what others go through. That's very interesting, isn't it? Okay. Well, why don't you appreciate what that turkey's going through? Why don't you put yourself in that turkey's body? Right? Because that turkey's alive. Well, it was alive, just like you are alive today. So would you want someone to cram you into a cone so far that your entire body is crunched, your shoulders are crunched, and all you can have is your little feet will just be at the top, dangling around as they slit your throat. And then you're going to upside down, and you're going to watch the blood come gushing out of your throat and your face, and you're just going to basically drown in your own blood while you watch it pour all over the ground. That's what's going to happen. So let's watch it. I think they blur it out, so don't worry, you won't have to see it.
Has to be
Look at this guy.
in order to get out and about
Look at
with
this
a
guy.
message on a national
He
level.
doesn't
Great
care.
appreciation for other candidates who
Just
have
another
gone
day
through
at the
this. But
office.
Also, just a great appreciation.
Although, sir, thank you for looking at the camera so awkwardly, for making this wonderful video that I can talk over. But look at him. He doesn't care.
Country. There's so many good Americans.
He's just holding
who
his
are
feet.
just
You see his head sticking
desiring
out there?
their government to
It's
kind of
crammed
get
in
out
there.
of the
And
way
you see
allow them to grow.
you see this big bucket of blood? Look at this. This is disgusting, isn't it? That's a blood bath, I guess you would call it. That's a bath full of blood. So it's a blood bath. And you can get multiple turkeys in there, multiple enslaved animals. You can cram them in there and cut their throats and let them choke on their own blood.
Grow and progress and allow our businesses to grow
Look
and
at this
progress.
guy.
So great appreciation for those
He doesn't
who
care.
share that value. And it was a blast. Every day was just a blast out there on the trail.
Yep, it's dead.
Plans just include
Business as usual, right? And that's basically how we are as a species. This is totally normal. I mean, now do you understand why they hide this stuff from you? Now do you understand why Sarah's never going to do this interview again? And she's probably wishing this wasn't on YouTube? But this is what's happening. That's why they hide this process. That's why when you go to the store, you see that turkey in whatever form, just the body itself, no feathers, nothing. It just looks like a little piece of meat. And it's wrapped up in a package in plastic and foam, right? You're destroying the environment. Environmental destruction while you're destroying their lives. It's terrible all around. And if you fry them, right? Lots of calories, probably, who knows what that's going to do to you health-wise. But yeah, you can see the problem here. And this is why they hide it. They don't want you to see this. Do you think they want you to go to a restaurant? You're sitting there with your family and your kids around the table and they come put this cone in the middle of your table, right? They put this cone in your table like, oh, you ordered the turkey legs, right? Okay, cool. And they take this big turkey and he's flapping around, right? And then they cram him in this cone. And then your kids and your family, they're sitting around this table, right? They're just sitting there. And all they can see is the little turkey head right there in the middle of the table. And then the guy's like, all right. And he cuts the turkey's throat. And then the turkey starts drowning upside down in its own blood, just gurgling blood all over the table, right? And the feet are kicking around. It's trying to flap, but it can't because you got it crammed in that cone, so it can't move. Imagine that experience. For a turkey, is there any more version of hell that you could imagine being killed like that? That's like Roman style. That's vicious. But there's an idea for you, right? Now you know why they hide it from you. They're never going to do that at a restaurant. You'd never have any customers. And your kids would be mentally scarred for the rest of their life. Who knows how they would turn out after seeing something like that. But this is what happens. And this is why they hide it from you.
Getting through the budget process that we're going through right now, building the state's budget based on the price of oil that has plummeted so greatly, and reining in the growth of government and
environmental
plans
destruction
like that have to do with helping to govern this state and building this team. That
I'm not watching this
is
for her commentary. It's for this
being
gentleman here in the
built to
back. He'll
provide
come
good
back up.
service
There he
to
is.
Alaskans. So in my role as governor,
there he
that's
is.
what my plans are all around.
Due to the declining oil price.
That's the last time that turkey will ever extend its wings while it's alive. You're going to watch this turkey get murdered right now.
About any state programs being on the chopping
There he
block.
goes. He's alive.
Thankfully, we're in a good
See what he did
position
there?
still,
He's
fiscally
holding his
speaking.
feet.
We're in a good position.
He's
but
cramming them in there, and then
it
he's
made
pulling
no
the
sense
head.
at
So you put them in there, and you
$140
can pull their head
oil
and
that-
jam their
that
whole
some
body in there.
lawmakers wanted to
So
spend,
now-
spend.
now
We
he's-
were warning
okay,
them then.
there we
The
go, it's got him.
administration was that we had to prepare for
There's
the
the
day
knife.
that the
He's cutting
price
his
of
throat.
oil would plummet, which
Whoop.
of course it has
I think
done.
you got it
We had
right
prepared then, reining
there.
in the growth of government
Yep.
then, and we will
Slitting his
now,
throat. Maybe
that
on
comes
both
into play
sides.
at
Yep,
this
he's
point,
dead. Puts the
where,
knife up.
those savings that we had set aside
now,
forward funding,
he's holding the feet,
anticipating a
and
drop
that
in
turkey
oil,
is
accounting
shaking
for
around.
that,
It's
all that
writhing
comes
for
into
his
play
life. See that
now
whole
at
thing shaking
$50
around?
barrel oil.
Right, so why was today
There
so
he is.
important for you?
Yeah, so he holds the feet so he can't jump around. Look at this
This
guy.
was neat. I
He
was
doesn't care.
happy to get to be invited to participate
doesn't care.
in this, and for
He's
one,
over
you
there
get a little
murdering
levity
this
in
animal while
job,
she's having an
especially
interview, and
with,
he's just happy to be
so
on
much
television.
That has gone on in the last couple
He's like,
of
"Hey,
months
what's
that
going
has
on?
been so,
Don't mind me, I'm just over here
political,
murdering these
obviously,
turkeys."
That it's nice to get out and do something to promote a local business and to just participate in something that isn't so heavy-handed politics that
Who cares about politics? Why don't you turn around and watch that guy murder that poor innocent animal in the prime of its life and then bleed it out into a literal bloodbath? People say that bloodbath, well, that's what it looks like. It's a bath of sorts full of blood. You see it covered in that red stuff? That's blood. That's covered in innocent blood from a turkey.
invites criticism. Certainly, we'll probably invite criticism for even doing this too, but at least this was.
My version of hell would be having this guy's job. Sitting there, murdering these turkeys one after another, slaughtering them, listening to them make whatever noises they make, cramming them in there. You keep them enslaved their whole life. Look at this. Look in the background. Right? Look in the background. Look at all these turkeys back here. They're all enslaved. They know what's going to happen. You think they don't hear this turkey crying out? You don't think they smell that blood? It's disgusting.
It's fun.
And
He's just back. This day at work for him.
So
No big deal.
thankful for the health and happiness of my family, that my son's Stryker Brigade.
Your family. What about their family? Once you turn around and look at those animals behind you, what about their family? That they're forcefully separated from, hopefully, because if they're not, they're going to be dead too.
Is safe over there in Iraq, relatively safe, and school's going well for the kids, and Trig is
Well, it's not safe for those turkeys. I can tell you that.
happy and
But I'm glad
healthy.
your
Just very
family's safe.
thankful for the health and happiness of my family. But then, as much so, that thankfulness that I have just being in Alaska, knowing that this is the land of opportunities and possibilities. So
Not for
happy to get to
turkeys.
be here.
What are you gonna cook for
Wild ones, maybe.
I'll be in
Not
charge
these
of the
turkeys.
turkey. Yeah, my sisters and my mom.
Okay. So she goes down there for a photo op to save a turkey. And she just admitted she's going home to cook the turkey. So you didn't really save anything. And not only that, you're promoting, by having this interview, you're promoting that other people go do the same stupid thing. That other people go out and murder turkeys to eat them and sit around your table and enjoy them in front of your family like a bunch of cannibals.
I'll bring in everything else, but I'm always in charge of the turkey. So I'm where I need to be today to prepare for that.
Do you, well, I mean, there aren't aliens, but think about it. Let's say an alien species, something different than you, came down here and was stronger, smarter, faster, whatever, however you want to look at it. They have an advantage over you. How would you feel if they started cramming you into cones where just your head pokes out and your little feet are at the top? And they do an interview right in front of you, laughing about going home and eating one of you later on. And in the background of that interview, they're killing one of you, slitting your throat while you bleed out and gurgle and writhe in pain. What would you think of that species that did that to you? Put yourself in the turkey's body, right? There's a species that's alien to you. It's different, right? It's different than you. And this is going on. What would you think of that species? What terms would you use to describe them? Because that's you. All right, so let's go over here. Just some interesting things here. Well, first off, let's start with this tribe here, because I think they're going to talk about it. I wasn't familiar with the tribe, so it's the the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. Sorry about the pronunciation. I'm probably butchering that. I apologize. The Mashpee Wampanoag tribe, also known as the People of the First Light, has inhabited present-day Massachusetts and eastern Rhode Island for more than 12,000 years. Look at the age of the United States, which is all we ever talk about, but you figure these folks have been here, supposedly 12,000 years. I'm not a historian, so you can go check that out yourself. But we'll just go with this. This is from their website, so that's as far back as they want to take it. After an arduous process lasting more than 3 decades, the Mashpee Wampanoag were re-acknowledged as a federally recognized tribe in 2007. Okay. What do you mean re-acknowledged? At least for 12,000 years, it was their land. So, and who's acknowledging? The federal government of the United States? The president of the U.S.? Who cares? You can't acknowledge someone's country after you stole it. Right? Imagine the hypocrisy of that. You're finally being re-acknowledged by the group of folks that came in, killed, enslaved, possibly passed diseases to you, and murdered you, and then stuck you on reservations, little patches of land they decided you could have, right? And then they have the audacity to acknowledge you and say that, yes, you were definitely here. We re-acknowledge you. which means they didn't acknowledge them at some point in time, but they were re-acknowledged in 2007. Well, thank you, United States of America, the federal government, for acknowledging that we exist, that they exist, after you came in, stole the land, stole the resources, killed them in wars, took advantage of them, enslaved them, murdered them, possibly gave them diseases that they didn't, they weren't used to. So thank you for re-acknowledging them. And in 2015, it gets better. The federal government declared 150 acres of land in Mashpee and 170 acres of land in Taunton as the tribe's initial reservation, on which the tribe can exercise its full tribal sovereignty rights. Well, thank you very much. It's very nice of you. You come in and you steal everything, but you're nice enough to give them back, like 320 acres of land. Boy, thank you so much. That is amazing. Not only did you re-acknowledge them after you stole everything and killed them, not only that, you were nice enough to give them a couple patches of land. Well, I'm sorry, give them back a couple patches of land since they were already here for 12,000 years. And the United States is, a couple hundred years old. That's nice. Oh, what else we got here? The Mashpee tribe currently has approximately 3,200 enrolled citizens. I don't know what their original, numbers were population-wise. By all means, go check the history on this, but this is from their website, so I think so. Yeah, and nsn.gov. I don't know. Go do the historical search for yourself. But the Native Americans, that's why they call them Native Americans, because they were native. They were here before the Europeans got here. So I'm glad that they were finally re-acknowledged. That's nice. So let's go over here. The myth of Thanksgiving story. And the reason I'm doing this video, and, sorry, I know you're trying to enjoy your Thanksgiving. You want to eat your turkeys and, sit around. Let's talk about the good stuff, right? So it's not all bad, right? There's some good stuff. It's great to be with your family and friends and have community and, talk about things you're thankful for. That's great. Community, saying you're thankful, try to squeeze a thank you to God in there if you get a second. But it's nice to have community and family and things like that and relations and to get along and converse. That's good. That's all good. But you already know that. I don't need to make a video about that. You already know that, right? I'm making a video to hopefully, bring to light some things you aren't thinking of. So let's go through the myths of Thanksgiving story and lasting damage they imbue. I'm not going to go through this whole article. It's quite lengthy, and I don't want this video to get too long because I do respect your time, with your family and friends. So we'll just go a few of these things here. In truth, massacres, disease, and American Indian tribal politics are what shaped the Pilgrim Indian Alliance at the root of the holiday. So let's see here. Just going to do a few things here. What happened in Plymouth? Local Native Americans welcomed the courageous, pioneering pilgrims to a celebratory feast. It's a tradition that pulls from a history passed down through the generations. Yeah. So that's the theory. The land is their land. Okay, that's the book that he wrote. Much of that story is a myth riddled with historical inaccuracies. Beyond that, Silverman argues that the telling and retelling of these falsehoods is deeply harmful to the Wampanoag Indians, whose lives and society were forever damaged after the English arrived in Plymouth. Yeah, I would say so. When the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth in 1620, the Sachem, the chief, Osamoquin, offered the new arrivals an entente, primarily as a way to protect the Wampanoags against their rivals, the Narragansetts. Sorry about the pronunciations. I know I'm butchering them. Just deal with it. For 50 years, the alliance was tested by colonial land expansion. I think we've seen some of that recently in the news. The spread of disease and the exploitation of resources of Wampanoag land. You can pretty much, the whole colonization thing, you can pretty much apply this in multiple regions of the world. Exploitation of resources, land theft, displacement of people. This is pretty much universal when you get with humans, right? Like that's not me, but that's something as a species that happens a lot. Then tensions ignited into war known as King Philip's War. Now, I haven't seen any videos on that one. I might go find one today and see if I can watch that. Or the Great Narragansett War. The conflict devastated the Wampanoags and forever shifted the balance of power in favor of European arrivals. Wampanoags today remember the Pilgrims' entry into their homeland as a day of deep mourning, rather than a moment of giving thanks. Well, you think? Yeah. It's an interesting point. Like, Thanksgiving, we celebrate it. A lot of people maybe don't even know about or care about the historical aspects of it. They just want to get together with their family and friends and drink, and maybe not, it's not all drink, but some people get together, they drink, they have fun, they watch football, they watch parades. Like, to some people, that's just it. That's all the holiday is. But can you imagine being a Native American and celebrating this holiday? Thanksgiving? And just imagine, like, Native Americans, if they're on the reservation, there's probably not as much advertising for this holiday, but can you imagine, like, you're going to the store as a Native American and you're watching all this propaganda for Thanksgiving about how it's this beautiful thing, and they'll get into it, but the myth, it's the Europeans and the Native Americans, like, sitting down and they're just enjoying a meal and a peace pipe or whatever they're doing. It's just a very positive look at it, It's looking at it through a very positive lens. But as a Native American, someone who another group came in illegally, right? They illegally immigrated and took over the land, stole resources, stole land, exploited the people, enslaved the people, killed the people in wars and in other ways, possibly gave them diseases they didn't have initially, right? They brought in diseases they didn't have any immunity to. So I can just imagine, for a Native American, this is not the best day. It's kind of a bad day. And then you're walking around in the stores and you just see all this propaganda for, oh, it's wonderful. Look, we're going to have these turkeys. Well, number one, you're not supposed to be eating animals. So you're murdering these animals. And this is somehow a tradition where you sit around and you all get murdered animals and drink alcohol and watch sports and watch parades and get together and talk to your families, which is good. The community part of it is nice. That is nice. But the reason for the holiday and, like, the whole myth that goes around it, it just feels gross. Here we go. Here's the myth. I've had a great many conversations with the Wampanoag people in which they talk about how burdensome Thanksgiving is for them, right? Particularly for their kids. Oh, Wampanoag adults have memories of being a kid during Thanksgiving season, sitting in school, feeling invisible, having to wade through the nonsense that teachers were shoveling their way. They felt like their people's history, as they understood it, was being misrepresented. Well, it's funny how the party that takes over and kills everybody else and takes over the land, the history somehow gets crafted in a way that it seems very positive in the light of the group that took over and conquered. So the conqueror seems to be like, they get to create history. Even though history should just be history, should be historical, the person that conquers you, they tend to make up their own history. They kind of whitewash it and make it look beautiful for themselves. They felt that not only their classes, but society in general was making light of the historical trauma which weighs around their neck like a millstone. Those stories really resonated with me. What is the Thanksgiving myth? Here we go. The myth is that friendly Indians, unidentified by tribe, welcome the Pilgrims to America, just open arms. Teach them how to live in this new place, sit down at dinner with them, and then disappear. Sounds nice, doesn't it? They just, come on in. Yeah, come on, let's go. Just welcome them in, and they just sit down and they have dinner, and they teach them how to live off the land, and then they Native Americans just disappear somewhere. I don't know if they got raptured or what happened. They just disappeared. They hand off America to white people so they can create a great nation dedicated to liberty, opportunity, and Christianity for the rest of the world to profit. That sounds nice, doesn't it? Welcome them in, they train them up, they get them ready. They say, hey, here's our land, just take it. I want you to have all of it. And we're going to disappear somehow overnight. And then you can get your liberty and opportunity and Christianity. They don't mention the whole theft part. They don't mention that. Theft and the murder, I'm not seeing that. This just is very, like, nice, whitewashed, beautiful, rose-colored glasses, whatever you want to call it. It's a very nice way to look at it. That's the story. It's about Native American people conceding to colonialism. It's bloodless and in many ways an extension of the ideology of manifest destiny. They just welcomed it in. That's all that happened. They said, come on in. Here's my land. Take it. Just take everything. So, that's what they did. They just took it. What are the most poignant inaccuracies in this story? Here we go. People have been in the Americas for at least 12,000 years, and according to some native traditions, having history start with the English is a way of dismissing all that. Yeah, it's kind of like the history they talk about is just from the United States of America, right? The USA, our history, American history. Not America's, like the continent, but yeah, that's what they talk about. So, and I see that too, that's all you see. But they kind of dismiss that. The second is that the arrival of the Mayflower is some kind of first contact episode. It's not. Wampanoags had a century of contact with Europeans, and it was bloody and involved slave raiding by Europeans. So they had a century of contact prior to the Mayflower showing up. And at least 2 and maybe more of the Wampanoags, when the Pilgrims arrived, spoke English. Wow, that's how intertwined they were already. Had already been to Europe and back and knew the very organizers of the Pilgrims' venture. So they knew who they were. They already had contact for the last century, and apparently it wasn't good contact. It involved enslavement. Who would have thought? So colonialism, slavery, taking of resources, you've heard most of this before. I'm not going to cover every little part of this because we'll be here all day. The Thanksgiving myth doesn't address the deterioration of this relationship culminating in one of the most horrific colonial Indian wars on record, King Philip's War. So I'll go find that if I can get caught up on that. And also doesn't address the Wampanoags' survival and adaptation over the centuries, which is why they're still here despite the odds. That is amazing that they're still around, given all that's happened. All right? And probably have the Europeans say, you see how nice we are? We left a few of them alive. That's how nice we are. But the fact that they're still there, and thankfully they do have some land, little patches of land, that's nice. But you can see why I have an issue with this holiday, especially the way it's portrayed here in the United States. You should probably, I don't know, it's nice to give thanks, but as far as why they originally started celebrating this, it's pretty horrific, especially for Native Americans. So I don't know how we need to fix this holiday, but how did the Great Dinner become the focal point of modern Thanksgiving holiday? For quite a long time, English people have been celebrating Thanksgiving that didn't involve feasting, otherwise known as gluttony. They involve fasting and prayer and supplication to God. So apparently that's how they originally did Thanksgiving. Along with community and getting together with folks and family, which is fantastic, and being thankful for what you have. It also involved fasting, which is not feasting. It's the opposite of gluttony, fasting, and prayer and supplication to God. So, which would make sense because they were pilgrims, right? They were quite religious, I would think. A group of pilgrim descendants who lived in Plymouth felt like their cultural authority was slipping away as New England became less relevant within the colonies and the early republic and wanted to boost tourism. So they started to plant the seeds of this idea that the Pilgrims were the fathers of America. They started everything. Nothing happened until they got here. There was no one here, apparently. They just showed up and it was just waiting for them. It's just ready. It gained purchase in the late 19th century when there was an enormous amount of anxiety and agitation over immigration, which is still going on today. And if you ever wonder why Americans are so scared of illegal immigration, well, just look at how the country got started. They know how they operate, which is why they're so scared of immigration. Well, look at how the country was started. At least the United States. We won't go back any further, which is the issue. But if you ever wonder why they're so scared of it, that's why. But they like lower labor costs, so they leave the they leave the border open. They have because they want to lower labor costs. So You can't be scared of immigration and stir people up and then leave the border open. It's one or the other. So the white Protestant stock of the United States was widely unhappy about the influx of European Catholics and Jews and wanted to assert its cultural authority over these newcomers. Okay, so we got some religious debates there. How better to do that than to create this national founding myth around the Pilgrims and the Indians, inviting them to take over the land? Yeah, please come in. Just come on in. Just please come in and just take everything. It's all yours. We're not here. We don't need it. So this myth-making was also impacted by the racial politics of the late 19th century. The Indian Wars were coming to a close. Indian Wars. I wonder why they were at war. Maybe because someone showed up and started stealing everything, including the land, and enslaving people. Maybe that's why. The Indian Wars were coming to a close, and that was an opportune time to have Indians included in the national founding myth. You can take this right back to any region of the world. Land dispute, stealing land, stealing resources, pushing people out, forcefully relocating them, going to war and killing them so that you can steal their stuff. That's what humans do. That's what we do. You couldn't have done that when people were reading newspaper accounts on a regular basis of atrocious violence between white Americans and native people in the West. What's more, during Reconstruction, that Thanksgiving myth allowed New Englanders to create this idea that bloodless colonialism in their region was the origin of the country. As if that's ever happened. Having nothing to do with the Indian Wars and slavery. Americans could feel good about their colonial past without having to confront the really dark characteristics of it. Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't some nice little thing where they sat down at dinner and they welcomed it in and said, hey, here's our land. The truth is they came in and they stole it. They showed up. There were already inhabitants here. And the only way to get land that there's people on it is you have to kill them or move them off. They don't do what you're supposed to do, which is to talk to them and negotiate and figure things out and work together, right? Love your neighbor. Love everyone, right? Love sentient beings. Respect life. Life is sacred. So if you have to go in and kill someone to take their land, you can't do it because life is sacred. You're supposed to cooperate and figure it out. But that's not what happened. So you get this whitewashed version where everyone's sitting down and they're just welcoming them in and they're just helping them figure out the land and, they're just going to magically disappear and then you can just have the land. So it's a very odd holiday and I feel horrible for Native Americans that have to deal with this. I couldn't imagine. It's bad enough for me. So I couldn't imagine like these Native Americans. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but definitely go check the article out if you want. And let me go to this last piece. So we did the video, we got that. So I'm just going to talk over. I found this thing. It's really cool. I told you how my mind works. It's a mess. It's all over the place. So this really helps me to kind of get my points across. So Thanksgiving, right? So let's go with the Native Americans. We'll start. It's Lucid. It's a Lucid app. It's free, so it won't cost you anything. Native Americans, right? They were murdered. So we'll get back to the sin. We'll take it back to the sin. They were murdered. They were enslaved. And you stole all of their stuff, their land, their resources, right? Murdered through wars, individual skirmishes, things of that nature. You stole the land, you stuck them in reservations, small ones. Typically those reservations, I don't think they were great plots of land either. They weren't the best lands that were available. They had like a 12,000 year history, at least that one tribe. I don't know about the other tribes. You can go look that up, but I'm just talking about this tribe for now. But at least 12,000 years of history there. The government was so nice to re-acknowledge them in 2007. Wasn't that nice? It's really nice of them. So whitewashed American history, colonialism, coming in, stealing everything, killing people, and enslaving. So, everyone's abhors slavery, right? How horrible slavery was. And you a lot of it, you hear about it, like African Americans, blacks, you hear about slavery. Not as much with Native Americans, but they were enslaved also. So you got slavery, you got theft, you got murder. I'm sure if I reached, I could probably find some more, but those are the big bullet points there. And then and this all stems from Thanksgiving, right? It kind of branches out from Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving, you got the turkeys, probably other ham, things like that too, but right, they're murdered and they're enslaved. You've got the travel. So you've got the environmental destruction. It's one of the busiest days. So the fossil fuels are getting burned up. I'm not sure if you've seen the environment and the weather patterns recently, but it seems like maybe the earth is a little bit upset at us being here the way that we live. It's completely unsustainable. Our lifestyles, our greedy lifestyles where we have way more than we need, and our growth rate and the amount of resources we're ripping out of the earth, and the terrible impacts that has on the earth and the climate, right? Greenhouse gas effect, all of that. So the travel aspect of it, like I said, I love the community aspect of Thanksgiving. I like the idea of giving thanks, right? You give thanks to God for what we have because we got all the land for free. None of us paid for the land. It's free. None of us pay for the oxygen. It's free. The water, it's free. God gave us all of it for free. Didn't cost us a dime. We improved it. That's true. You can improve it. You can put structures on it, and that's things that we can do as humans. We can improve the structures, right? But without the land and the water and the air and everything, and the plants, the vegetables, all of it, like we wouldn't exist. And all of that was given to us for free, right? Everything we need. The fruits, the vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, your green vegetables, your leafy greens, all that. It's all free, right? You can grow it, and there's cost there from the preparation and things like that, but it's free. So we should treat it like a gift because it is, and we shouldn't destroy it, which is why environmental destruction is a sin, because it upsets God, because we're not supposed to do it. We're supposed to live in harmony with nature, and we're not doing that. And I think that's obvious if you'll turn on the news and look at how the world is reacting to us, to the way that we live, to how we are destroying this place every single day with our lifestyles and our choices, our consumption choices. Combined with our growth rate, it's unsustainable. And we're going to kill ourselves, which is why God's going to have to step in. Because if not, we're committing suicide. The planet will be fine. That's fine. Sure. Give it thousands of years, million years, it'll be fine. But it won't be habitable by us. It'll be almost as nasty as trying to live on Mars. Can you imagine that? Doesn't that sound fun? A horrible environment where people aren't designed to live, you're going to try to live there? Why don't you just take care of the planet you already have? Instead of moving to a planet or trying to move to a planet where it's completely inhospitable for human habitation or animal habitation. It's not designed for you to be there, which is why you're not there. You're designed to be here, but you're destroying your home. So instead of trying to jump ship after you destroy this place, why don't you just fix the house you have? Instead of trying to build another house in an environment that's not designed for you, that's not going to work out. We're designed to be here, but you're not going to be allowed to destroy this place and then just jump off onto another space station or planet or whatever ridiculous ideas you have. That's not going to happen. So I recommend that we fix this place because this is our home and this is where we'll be staying. And if you want it to be hospitable for us to live here, you might want to get serious and take care of this place because this is our only home. There is no planet B. This is our planet A, and it's the only one we have. It's the only one we're getting. So let's take care of it. So travel. Fossil fuels, largest travel day of the year. So huge problems there. Everyone jet setting all over the place. You want to go fly all the way over to Europe to have a vacation. It's unnecessary. Find something nice to do regionally, I'm sure there's plenty of things in the U.S. you've never done But yet people jaunt off onto Europe or any other part of the world, or, you've seen the travel patterns. People go all over the place. Like, try to find things to do locally where you're not burning up all these fuels. Because if you think that you can keep polluting this environment and not pay a price for it, you're mistaken. All you have to do is watch the news. You'll see what's going on with the weather. There's a reason for it. It's not a mystery. It's because we're not taking care of our environment. We're not living in harmony with Earth. And then alcohol. This isn't everyone. But some people, maybe a good portion, like to drink alcohol. It's another thing at Thanksgiving, right? You get alcohol together with family. That's a great idea. Go ahead and talk about politics while you're at it, or religion. So you got alcohol, so you've got indulgence issues there, intoxicants. It's also a poison, which is why you urinate so much when you drink it, because your body knows it's a poison, it's trying to get rid of it. So, and that's not just alcohol, right? That could be pills, that could be, people that like to have a good time. It could be pills, it could be weed, it could be anything. I don't know what people are into. But mainly alcohol, that's the one that at least they advertise, which is amazing that they advertise that legally. And then you get to drink around your kids. That's fantastic. So you go to an event and you got family sitting around drinking, laughing, having a good time. You're basically making it seem like a good thing to your kids, to young people that are around you. You're influencing them by your actions. So you really shouldn't be consuming alcohol around young people or putting it in movies or putting it anywhere. You're advertising a poison. It's an intoxicant. And God doesn't want us taking intoxicants. He wants us to be sober-minded. That's what's best for us. That's what makes the most sense. So, and then you've got feasting, right? You've got the gluttony aspect of it, which can go calories, right? Calories, you get the obesity, and this blood pressure. I know it's just one. I'm not a doctor. Go talk to a dietitian, someone like that. They can show you, like, if you go find all the health impacts of obesity, there are many. And I'm not fat shaming. I've got a few pounds on me right now. I'm trying to get off. I just started walking again. I got to get my calories under control myself. So, talking to me here too. But, blood pressure amongst all the other issues with obesity, but we eat too much. I just went to Walmart yesterday because I was trying to get food. It's a madhouse in there. Everyone's running around. It's like this holiday. It's like people make it a point on Thanksgiving. Part of the goal of Thanksgiving is to stuff your face with as much food and drink as you can until you are just stuffed, sickly, and you pass out. It's like a joke. It's like you overeat, and then the tryptophan or whatever it's called from the turkey, you get tired and you can take a nap. It's like there's something people try to do. You try to stuff yourself. Like, it's a sin. You're being gluttonous. You're eating more than you need. You're being greedy. So it's like part of this holiday is like to sin. It's to drink alcohol. It's to stuff your face as much as you can, to be a glutton, which is going to lead to all kinds of health problems. And it's a sin. That's why it leads to problems. You're not supposed to do it. And then all the sugar. I picked up a pie crust. It's one of those little, it didn't have anything in it. It was just the crust. It was 800 calories for the pie crust. And I realize you're not going to eat the entire pie, hopefully. But it was 800 calories. And that's before you put anything in it. That's just the crust. If you just ate the crust, you're getting that. It's loaded with sugar, which sugar's terrible for us. The worst. I should have pulled that up. I looked at like sugar exports, imports. Ooh, insane the amount of sugar. You wonder why the health industry is so busy? Look at the amount of sugar we eat. It's crazy. I've eaten peanut. I know I'm jumping. I need to have a chart for this too. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich yesterday. And I made the mistake of not a mistake. I'm glad I did it. But I turned that jelly around and looked at it. Oh, it's nothing but sugar. That's all it is. It's just sugar. The peanut butter, it's natural. It's just from nuts, right? But it's loaded with oil and it's loaded with calories. It's very calorically dense. So you take the fat, all that fat, and you get the carbs from the bread, and you put those together, right? So your calorie count's up, your carb count's up, insulin's going to spike, and then you put some liquefied sugar all over it, which is that jelly. Man, that stuff was crazy. It was like 19 grams or something. What was it? No. I think it was like 10 grams per teaspoon of jelly. And on a jelly sandwich, you're getting more than a teaspoon. So this sugar is just getting crushed on there. So you got all this nasty sugar. You got all the fats from the nuts, which are natural, but still, it's calorically dense. You got all that fat. You got all that sugar. You got the carbs. You eat that, your insulin's going to go through the roof. And then that's going to, what's that, like your fat storage hormone? So then you're going to start storing the fat from the oil. I'm going to be careful with those. No more of that jelly for me. But that goes back to the feasting, right? The sin, the gluttony of it. And then you're eating all this calories, the sugar, you're going to get diabetes, and that does horrible things to your body. Terrible. So it's just a lot about Thanksgiving that I don't think is positive. I mean, like I said, you got a lot of different things here, right? Poor Native Americans, they got run over, essentially. Right? European colonialism just ran them over and stole the land. And now they have to sit around and watch all this propaganda about Thanksgiving, about, how the Pilgrims just sat down with the Native Americans. They were just enjoying dinner and they welcomed them in and they helped them, get set up on the land, and they taught them how to live, and then they just disappeared. And then they just decided that they wanted to go live on reservations. They didn't like their land anymore. They said, hey, can I please go on these reservations? That's after a bunch of them just magically disappeared. They just got raptured. They weren't murdered in wars and disease and just killed off individually. So yeah, you got Native Americans, we got the murder, theft, enslavement, turkeys, hams, whatever, animals in general, sentient beings, they're murdered, they're enslaved. You got the travel, the environmental destruction, and not only that, I should have added this in. Yeah, I don't want to do it live on here and mess it up, but I'll add it in. So environmental destruction. So let's talk about all this food that we're consuming, all these products. Trust me, I've seen my recycle bin. I know how much of this stuff goes in the recycle, which recycle's kind of a scam anyway. Sounds nice, but not enough of that stuff is recycled. Recycle's not going to get the job done. We're going to have to change all the packaging. All of that's got to be changed. Because recycling sounds nice, but it may even do more damage because you think it's a good thing. But I don't think it's much getting recycled as you think. Definitely not. So the environmental destruction, I'll add this to it, right? All this packaging from these products that we're getting, all the plastic from all of these, just everything you buy and the tin foil and all of it. It's nasty. One good thing about Walmart that I go to, in the produce section, they have all these bins. Unlike Publix. Like I go to Publix, everything's wrapped up. I want zucchini, I want squash, whatever I want. It's in foam or plastic and it's wrapped with plastic. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they do it. But at least at Walmart, it's that bulk style, almost like I took that one trip to Israel, like a historical trip. And a lot of the vendors, that's what I liked over there is they had all the food just laying out. It was just piled up. And you come and grab some and you can buy it. There wasn't all this fancy packaging that you don't need that destroys the earth. It was just what you needed. It was fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and legumes and all that good stuff. But I go to Publix, everything's wrapped up. I can't get a head of lettuce without plastic wrapped all over it. They even have potatoes wrapped up. Everything's wrapped up. Everything, all of it. So you have all this trash, all these things that are not going to break down, that are not going to be recycled, filling up landfills, basically turning the earth into a gigantic dumpster for this holiday. And I should have added that in. But you can see there's a lot wrong with Thanksgiving, as we call it. But I want to end on a positive note. I think it's great that people have community and they get together and they want to be thankful for things. That's awesome. That's great. That's good to do that, to be with family and friends and to sit around and be thankful. But what I see about Thanksgiving, just in my region where I am, it seems like just a bunch of like gluttonous consumption. Animals being murdered, enslaved, murdered, killed. We're destroying the environment, traveling all over the place. People are drinking, they're doing intoxicants. It's awful. And the poor Native Americans have to sit back and watch it all and somehow try to smile. I feel terrible for them. This is their land that we're sitting on. And they have to sit here and watch us celebrate this myth that they just welcome the Europeans in. Come on in. Come on in. I don't want this land. You can have it. You want to kill me? Sure, go ahead. Not a problem. You want to enslave me? Yeah, have at it. So that's what they have to see. But out of all of these, the one that you're probably not even thinking of is the animals, right? Those animals with souls in their vessels, they're having an experience just like you are. They're jammed in these cones.
Yes, this is our pardon turkey.
Not so lucky.
Glad she pardoned that one.
Now, we've made every consider get directly behind.
So, pardon, okay?
Where is he? Where's the cone? There he is.
Time consumption there, and the energy that
There he is.
has to be spent in order to get out and about.
So what you're not thinking of, probably, are these beings in the background that are enslaved, that are being murdered in horrific ways, right? That's their Holocaust. And it's all the time, every single day, never stops. And you have people back there just like this guy. He doesn't care. He could care less. That's just his job. He gets paid. He's a jailer. So he gets paid to work in that prison. He enslaves them, he tortures them, and he kills them. And then he chops up their bodies. And he wraps them in plastic. And he sells them to you. And she's a politician. They're fake, most of them. So she sits up there and she pardons one turkey. And then she goes home and kills another one. So net, she's done nothing for those turkeys. And Joe Biden just pardoned 2 turkeys. How many turkeys is Joe going to eat this Thanksgiving? Did he actually save any turkey? Because she's advertising to go home and kill turkeys while she just sat there on her photo op telling you that she was going to pardon 1 turkey. You can't pardon a turkey and then go home and kill a turkey, right? Doesn't mesh. You're supposed to respect life because life is sacred. Life is sacred. Once you understand that, it'll make your eating choices very easy. Because to God, life is sacred. Because God created life. And God expects us to act a certain way in our covenant with God. So we should listen. So, sorry if this has a negative feel to it. I'm just trying to relay the information. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your family and friends. But please keep this chart in mind. And I will add in all the packaging, which needs to be redone because it's destroying the earth. All right. Happy Thanksgiving.